Welcome back to Mugello, everyone, for race 2 of round 5. We bring a weekend to a close as our racing family continue to remember one of its own, Delano van 't Hoff. As we enter this final race of the weekend, we want to express our deepest sympathy and support to his family, friends, as well as MP Motorsport team. You as well as Delano are in our thoughts and here in Tuscany. We also express our support to the RPM team and to their driver Adam Fitzgerald, and of course wish him a very speedy recovery as well. You join us after a very, very busy qualifying session where once again the opening group would go fastest. Of course, this time, not being Stenshorn, it's Andrea Kimi Antonelli, the man who is trying to tussle with him for the Drivers' Championship. And here is the grid order here for this afternoon's race. Andrea Kimi Antonelli on pole position alongside teammate Rafael Camara, who did exceptionally well in his group as well. Kaz Havercourt in third fastest. Martinius Stenshorn, who of course won the race yesterday, first race winner this weekend, and he's bidding to make it 2 from 2. But can he? That's the big question. In P5, it's Santiago Ramos, who has been impressive this weekend. Matteo Capietti, who had a great session as well in his group earlier on, of course, representing that of the Group A contingent for the down there. And we, of course, have Owen Tangavellu and Joshua Dufek, who is showing some real signs of pace as well. Nikhil Bora and Trident line up in 9th, with Tim Tramnitz lining up in 10th place. Lorenzo Flusha in 11th, with Roman Belinsky in 12th spot as well, who was also showing some great pace. Unfortunately, due to an error where he dipped into the gravel trap, it stopped him from improving on his previous best lap. Michael Belov went 13th fastest, Maya Vuk as well in 14th, with 15th place going to Lawrence Van Hoopen and Matthias Zagazeta qualifying in 16th place for RACE-GP. Grid space in P17, it's Marcus Amann. That's Kirill Small alongside him as well in 18th for Monolite Racing. Levente Ravesh lines up in 19th with Niels Kuhlen representing Van Amersfoort team in 20th place as well. In behind that of Niels Kuhlen, Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. lines up alongside Joshua Dirksen in 22nd. Giovanni Maschio in 23rd, with Charlie Wirtz returning after a week break due to illness in 24th place. 25th went to Lucas Medina, with Tom Levin lining up in 26th for Arden. Konsta Lapalainen in his first appearance this season representing his father's team for Kick Motorsport. And Enzo Scianti, after getting a 2-place grid penalty, lines up in 28th place. Alessandro Giusti, last of the running cars, in 29th spot. Well, the sun is ablaze, and going back to that 2-place grid penalty for Enzo Scianti, that was after the collision with Levente Ravesh in race 1. Of course, the stewards watching on hand. We had a couple of incidents, and Kirill Small was one of them. Of course, heading across the racing line of that of Joshua Dirksen, ended up in the gravel trap, but the car's okay. No extensive repair work that needed to be done at all, and they just got the car back into the garage and got it set and ready for this afternoon's race. Of course, the temperatures are still relatively high. The track currently sits at 56.3 degrees. It has been absolutely scalding hot today. The air currently sits with 34 degrees. Humidity has dropped a bit though. We're 43% here at this point. Remember, it was 70 earlier on this morning, but the air is starting to dry up just that little bit as we head into the final race of the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine weekend. My name is, of course, George Morgan, your commentator here for this afternoon's race, and have been all weekend as well. We're going to look forward to seeing whether it can be Andrea Kimi Antonelli who can add his name to the list of winners here at Mugello in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, to follow suit from Gabriele Mini last season, who was the first Italian since 2019 to take a race win at Mugello in this very championship. Of course, currently sat now in the prospect of perhaps achieving a second race win this season, taking his first at Spa. He's going to look to try and add to that accolade as well. Already enlisting 5 podiums so far this season after battling with Adam Stenshorn in yesterday's race, taking a pole position as well that I'm sure he will definitely be proud of, making that 2 this season and rivaling that of the championship rival Martinius Stenshorn, who also has 2 to his name after achieving pole position in yesterday's qualifying session as well. Both drivers managing to achieve those feats in the very first group of the session as well, which is very unheard of, but here in Mugello certainly offers a very tricky test for the drivers in terms of dirty air and things of that nature. I caught up with the likes of Tim Tramnitz, and he gave it absolutely everything. We saw Kaz Havercourt as well, trying moves around the outside. He got a hellacious start, certainly at the getaway. Wasn't quite able to make the necessary move, though, in order to gamble and move up into the top 3. But nevertheless, he will be prosaic and will have another chance this time as well on the second row, alongside that of Martini Stenchorn. A good launch is what's needed here, but a big shout out to the RPM team, who have really come well stocked. Of course, not here with Adam Fitzgerald as he recovers, obviously, and we wish him well. Matteo Capietto certainly represented the team very strongly as well, and he's going to look to try and advance his charge up the order. Santiago Ramos as well, also one to watch, as we often see. And also, as we said, also Charlie Wirtz marking a return to this championship too. But there you can see it's a Prema lockout out at the front. Rafael Camara finding those improvements. We spoke to him as well post-qualifying, and he remarked saying that they had found that little bit more since yesterday. All the cars now getting set to line up. You see the marshal there on the right-hand side. He picks up that green flag as we get set to go racing for the final time in Mugello this weekend. The safety car in position as we await the lights. And here it comes, green flag being waved. Here come those lights now. Second light, third light, fourth light, and the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Andrea Kimi Antonelli getting a good start, so does Rafael Camara, cuts in behind his teammate as well, Martini Stenchorn, also getting a nice run too, but Camara instantly challenging Antonelli as they head down through towards turn 1 now. It's still currently Antonelli out in front. Camara still trying around the outside as they enter San Donato curve at turn 1. It's still Antonelli who leads. Look at the 2 RPMs now as well. Look at Rafael Camara, who's trying to get himself into the mix too. Gets alongside Kaz Havercourt, launches himself up to 4th place. Havercourt losing 2 places at the get-go here. Stenchorn now up to 3rd as well. Ramos, shall I say, it wasn't Capietto at all. Ramos getting the launch that he was looking for. 4th place there for RPM, and looking very strong indeed. Kaz Havercourt looking for that move too. You can see there Capietto in behind that of the Van Amersfoort car, just sitting in behind as they run side by side through the slalom section. Of course, making their way through Casanova into Cervelli and Arrabbiata 1 before then climbing up through Arrabbiata 2. This double right-hander kind of delayed, and certainly the drivers need to pinpoint with precision here as to get their car around this sequence of bends. Now we're seeing yet more jostling for places, as well as Roman Belinsky comes under a little bit of pressure as Michael Belov losing out to Joshua Dufek in that instant scrap too. The Van Amersfoort team, who have been very, very fast this weekend, have shown a great level of pace. In fact, Joshua Dufek was actually 3rd fastest in free practice 1 earlier on in the weekend, and once again now getting himself up into the top 10 as well. So a fantastic move from him. Obviously points certainly mean prizes when it comes to a drivers' championship, and certainly for that of the team as well. And I can imagine that team boss Danielle Gilles is going to be pushing on her team vibrantly. Obviously they do still have Kaz Havercourt right in the mix, but not having the same start he had yesterday, where he looked to threaten the top 3, unfortunately losing a couple of places, but still right on the cusp of Santiago Ramos, keeping Matteo Capietto at bay as well as they head in towards turn 1. Antonelli still out in front, Camara in 2nd, Stenchorn, leading rookie, 3rd place, looking to bid to become a podium sitter yet again, as we're now seeing a very tight line there from what looks to be the Trident car. Roman Belinsky looking every which way. He runs a little wide though off the track, and certainly that will place him at a disadvantage. Is there wing damage on the car? There is. Belinsky with front wing damage, and he's lost a deal of traction. There's certainly what looks to be, yes, the front wing is missing. So Belinsky with damage to his front nose cone, and he's now operating without a front wing, and all the cars now going past at this point. Heartbreak for Belinsky, who has looked to be in the pace this weekend, was certainly pushing and qualifying after trying to muster every ounce he could achieve, but unable to obviously get himself higher up the order. Really unfortunate there for Roman Belinsky, and luck has blindsided him ever so slightly here at Mugello. Of course, this race that held claim to the Tuscan Grand Prix only a matter of years ago. Antonelli still out in front, Camara in 8th place. This circuit, of course, plenty of action around this track, 5.245 kilometers, that's 3.259 miles. 15 corners of action, as well as we see the cars now going side by side again through the slalom as they head through this next sequence of curves. Oh, there's a car off, and into the gravel trap as well, and into the wall. Suspension damage definitely apparent. I can't quite see which one that is. And there's the front wing belonging to that of Roman Belinsky. The marshals clearing up the debris, but a car going off. And certainly to keep our eyes peeled at this point, just trying to see who that might be. Oh, it is car number 21. Oh, that's heartbreak. I believe that might be Kirill Smol. It is Kirill Smol, and he's not alone as well. Because look at that, there's a Van Amersfoort car buried in the tyre barrier as well. So that's another car gone off. That's Niels Koolen, of course, representing the Van Amersfoort team that's gone off there as well. So Koolen and Smol both evicted out of the race, and yellow flags are being waved. Safety car has been released, folks, so there we have it. The safety car is now out here in this lap, and certainly not an ideal run at all here in lap 3. And that'll be the end of the weekend for Kirill Smol, and his second incident as well in 2 races and 2 DNFs. So Monolite, who placed a lot of stock in this young man, and he is a vibrant talent, just again unlucky on this occasion. And fallen foul after, must be said, must have come together with Niels Koolen heading around that section, but it can happen. Mugello, a very tricky circuit, very technical. We allude to some of the corners, plenty of various braking zones, some high-speed sections as well. Obviously, you do have the Arrabbiata 1 and 2 where you have to carry the speed. San Donato is a very progressively braking corner as well before you then climb up through Lusso and Poggio Secco as well. And then you have the run-up towards Materazzi and Borgo San Lorenzo as well. But plenty of tight and twisting curves. And a big challenge for the drivers. And we spoke about tyre wear as well, because this is a high-deg circuit. And a couple of the drivers referred to in qualifying as well, including that of Antonelli, who actually said that it is tricky to manage a qualifying session. That obviously it didn't trouble him too much in terms of securing pole, but he did have to manage it. And obviously that's why you have to throw in the odds, conservative lap in order to try and make sure the temperatures don't get too aggressively high, because as soon as you start doing that, the tread dissipates, and before you know it, you're being challenged from the cars behind you. The current front 3, though, still exist as they were when they started. Antonelli out in front, Camara in second, Stenshorn, who had the run from the start, of course, jumping up from 4th to 3rd place. Santiago Ramos, who also having a great start too. Of course, tends to be a prudent qualifier, but he's now proving that he can muster some strength in the race as well, getting past the likes of Kaz Havercourt, who will surely have another go at this. Capietto's in behind too. Owen Tangavello also in the top 10. And Tim Tramnitz, who he himself also gaining some places. Started P10, Tim Tramnitz is getting 2 places as a result. Josh Dufek in 9th place as well. Top 10, obviously follows the Formula 1 point scoring system as well here in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. It's a Prema lockout up at the front 2. Antonelli's going to take them round through this lap. We'll await to hear as well from the race director. Obviously 2 cars that need to be cleared up at this point. But the marshals doing an absolutely stellar job, as they always do. Must be said, Antonelli, of course, bringing some of his best form once again to the forefront, and a pedigree so rich in this feeder series, and still continues to achieve accolade after accolade. And no doubt there'll be many more in the coming years for this young man. Of course, a multi-time karting champion right from the year of 2015 through to 2022 in recent years, but not to mention in single-seaters, achieving what he has done in Italian F4. Of course, back in 2022, securing that championship with 13 wins and 15 podiums. And we'll go on then to achieve the championship in ADAC F4 as well, with 9 wins and 12 podiums as well, securing that championship. And not forgetting his absolutely stellar display, securing the 1 solitary win that was required in the FIA Motorsport Games last year. And has since gone on to do great things as well in the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship with 3 wins and 7 podiums, taking that championship as well. But has also taken his driving skills to that of the GT side of things as well, and also holds a victory and 2 podiums there as well. So very, very versatile is one Andrea Kimi Antonelli. And now with his car in front, he'll obviously try and muster himself a huge chance of laying claim to a second race win this season in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Rafael Kamara, no slouch either. Of course, comes into this one. He's a WSK Champions Cup winner as well back in 2021 in karts, and also securing the Super Masters and Champions of the Future winner as well. And, also did extremely well in the F4 in United Arab Emirates as well, with 6 wins and 8 podiums, securing second in that championship. And he'll look to try and bring yet more form to the forefront, also achieving 2 wins in Italian F4 back in 2022 with 10 podiums to his name, doing exactly the same in the ADA CF4 with 9 podiums as well, with 1 win, finishing P3 in that championship. And he's a very consistent performer too. Also performed in the Middle East, the same as Andrea Kimi Antonelli as well, finishing 3rd in that particular championship with 6 podiums to his name too. So plenty of accolades in this Prema team, a strong outfit as we've come to expect. But Martini Estenchon, certainly the feel-good factor in terms of the rookie classification. Of course, not achieving over 3 appearances in these cars, obviously when he's competing in the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship, so still retains the rookie status, but despite being classified as a rookie, can prove that he can handle himself right at the front end as well, and has really been a sensation, as certainly attributed by his team boss as well, Thibaut, who is of course the team boss in R-Race GP. Thibaut de Merindol, of course, who also has drivers Tim Tramnitz under his wing, who has also been a double race winner this season at Barcelona, going back-to-back at that circuit. And, there'll certainly be more to come in their eyes too. Of course, Tramnitz achieving 5 podiums to date, to include the race we've already had this weekend. Martini Estenchon adding to his tally as well. Andrea Kimi Antonelli can very easily add a tally to his as well. He could level up pretty much with that of Estenchon, but obviously if Estenchon finishes in the top 3, he will add a 7th podium to his name. Of course, achieving 4 race wins, Kimi Antonelli chasing his 2nd, as we see the marshals going to work on the cars. And there is Niels Coulin's stricken Van Amersfoort car just making its way, certainly being taken away by the marshals, who have done a superb job. Safety car is in this lap, so it won't take too long before we go back racing, as now they round Bucine once again. It's all down to Antonelli as he heads down now towards the start-finish line. Certainly a high contrast to Estenchon's restart earlier on. The green flag's wave and it's pedal to the metal for the 2nd time in this race now. Kamara in behind him too as well. A very orderly start by many, but a car certainly looking to make moves here as Tangavellu comes under fire from Tim Tramnitz further back as well. And take a look at Kaz Havercourt, who instantly looks to try and take the advantage too. Tramnitz though with a stellar switchback moves his way up the order as well and looks to fight. There you see Kaz Havercourt as well, trying to pinch and poke around Santiago Ramos as they head through the first sector, and heading through Luco and Poggio Secco corners. They now rise up through towards the Materazzi section, dip down in towards the next left as well. It certainly still will be Antonelli out in front, Kamara in behind too, Estenchon in 3rd, Ramos now in 4th with Havercourt hovering all over his tail, but Tim Tramnitz getting past Owen Tangavellu in emphatic fashion, gains yet another place. Tim Tramnitz started 10th, he's now up 3, 7th place to his name. There's Antonelli now climbing up the hill yet again. Stellar restart for that young man too, and has marshalled the gap very well to teammate Rafael Kamara, who said to us as well that from the get-go he was going to try and hassle his teammates while they are still representing Prema. They're also chasing the individual accolades, and Kamara does have a taste of a victory under his belt as well this season, bringing Prema's very first this season in our previous round. And Antonelli would also follow that up as well to make it a double Prema weekend. And no doubt they'll be chasing for more, and certainly the way things are panning out right now, they'll be in a good position to do just that. There's Estenchon in behind, who's trying to gain after Rafael Kamara. And there's Santiago Ramos as well, who is, as I said, a superb qualifier. Has really risen up through the ranks this season, has got better and better as the season has progressed. RPM as a whole looked to have really risen to the occasion here at Mugello. We've seen Capietto as well in 6th place, make his way down through towards turn 1. Antonelli still out in front. A little look down the inside as well from Kamara, as we now see once again Tangavellu having to chase a lock-up there from the RPM further back. Another lock-up as well from another Van Amersfoort. That's Josh Dufek, who I think might have just locked at the brakes slightly heading through San Donato as they now head through the next left and right as they now peel through the Poggio Secco bend, now heading up towards Materazzi before they hit the Borgo San Lorenzo as well. But no change up at the front end. The group's starting to cluster up together. Certainly they tend to figure themselves into twos. A car running off into the gravel trap there as well. Less than ideal, has to be said. That's certainly not the way you want the tyres to behave, certainly at this very sensitive point during the race now, as we see them all come together. I think that was Matthias Zagazzetta who took a little trip into the gravel just briefly. Looks to have recovered very well though, but the gap has extended to Lorenzo Fluscia in front of him as well. More gravel being kicked up as well further back of the field too. Fastest lap currently held by Andrea Kimi Antonelli at a 1:46.038. That was secured on our second lap. Of course, you'll have other opportunities to improve on that time. It's actually gone faster again in the second sector at 20.6, so very likely. And we saw Martini Stenshorn get better and better as the race went on as well, setting fastest lap after fastest lap as he built the gap between him and the cars behind. Certainly didn't make it easy for the cars behind him. There's Antonelli, and he is advancing the lead as well. 1.2 seconds between that of Stenshorn and Antonelli at the lead. But still gaps cascading outwards. Just look at this, Kamara now out by a second to his teammate. And another fastest lap garnered by Andrea Kimi Antonelli as well. Giovanni Maschio also losing a place as well, dropping down into 23rd. So they come now in towards the middle sector once again. And cruising through turns 4 and 5. As they head now in towards the Poggio Secco corners and Materazzi again. And then they'll make their way down to Casanova and Cervelli before hitting the Arrabbiata 1 and 2. It's still Antonelli, and just look at this gap as well. It's starting to grow time and time again. It's almost similar to what Stenshorn did previously. Interesting to see where the gap goes as well, because of course he managed to successfully cultivate a 1.7 second advantage, and there you can see the time difference now, 1.3 separating that of Kamara and Antonelli as well. Stenshorn further back in third place, still in touching distance of Kamara though in second. As we see Havercourt there in fifth, just watching every move that Ramos makes, trying to get as tight as he can to that apex as well, as we see Antonelli peel through. He's going to make his way up towards turn 15 at Bucine now as well, as they head through this section at Biondetti 1 and Biondetti 2. Stenshorn's gap now at 1 second between him and Kamara. Ramos a little bit closer than that in behind Stenshorn. 13 minutes and 30 still to go, plus the 1 additional lap as well. It's still Antonelli who leads the way. Roman Belinsky, incidentally, as well, looking to try and regain the positions that he would have otherwise lost. Still in 24th place is Belinsky. Still challenging, as we're now seeing side-by-side action yet again. I think that might be Josh Dufek, who's now coming under pressure from Lorenzo Fluscia in behind as well. Giusti gains a place as well, as we now see the cars peel on outwards. Just looking at this right now, the battle still raging on, I think, between Fluscia and Dufek. Now look further back, and it looks like Dufek has done enough to keep Fluscia at bay. You see the cars come out now and head down towards this next dipping right-hander, Arrabbiata 1, coming up next as well on lap 9 here at this point. And here's the replay. This was the moment, and certainly a stellar move as well from Josh Dufek to keep Fluscia. Oh, they bash wheels. Oh, okay, we didn't see that on the broadcast, and certainly Fluscia, as a result of that contact, has found his way into the grass. Now, will the stewards take a dim view of that? We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure we'll get some news. As soon as we do, folks, we will present it to you. So we now see the cars make their way through the second sector in towards sector 3 now. They've got one final corner to take after this. Bucine coming up next. As we see Kamara closely followed by Stenshorn. Gap still relatively close, up in the top 6. And we have got confirmation that the incident between that of cars 13, that of course being Josh Dufek, and that of Lorenzo Fluscia, will be investigated after the race. So they are getting involved here, and another big move here from Roman Belinsky with front wing now intact and makes his way past that of Giovanni Maschio. A fantastic move indeed from him. Full of confidence, Bielinski, not afraid to go for the big moves, and certainly looks to try and marshal in a positive delta here at this point as well, as we now see the cars now rise up through again. There's Capietto as they head through the first sector still. Sector 2 now right in front of them. Just look at Antonelli now. He has actually gained a 1.7 advantage, the equivalent to that of Stenshorn in race 1 as well. Stenshorn still in third, currently still leads the rookie standings though, the rookies classification here in this race. As we race around on lap 10 as they head through Arrabbiata 1, Arrabbiata 2 as well. Kaz Havercourt is looking to push and prod and gain himself a couple of places too. He's got Capietto for company in behind, and also Tim Tramnitz looking to try and fire up something. It's Tramnitz, who has had a stellar season himself so far, as I said, are already a race winner this season. This wouldn't be an ideal result for Tramnitz because he knows what he's capable of, and obviously still in this championship fight. Came into the weekend third of the championship, and there's another car off as well, and if I'm not mistaken, that's Maya Verk who's off. Maya Verk off in the gravel trap, and the Cinderella story that has been on the go since last weekend has unfortunately ended up in the gravel trap here in race 2. Maya Verk unfortunately buried in the gravel trap. The car will not be exiting out of that, and the safety car has been deployed here. Very disappointing end to what has been a stellar performance, of course, from Maya Verk at Kick Motorsport, who has really driven the team, of course, a representative of the Ferrari Driver Academy, and it's really been a feel-good story as well, certainly for many fans of the Formula Regional European Championship alike, and a real inspiration to many female drivers who are looking to take up helm in the sport as well. But now in the gravel trap, and safety car procedure now underway here at Tuscany for the second time in this race. But we are into the final 10 minutes. Should have time, hopefully, as well, to get back underway fairly efficiently. The marshals obviously getting to work straight away. But Antonelli now will lose the delta that he's gained as Maya Verk out of the car, as the marshals now get to work on moving it into a safe location. They'll, of course, wait for the machine to lift it and move it out of the way. But all the cars now coming down into Delta and lining up behind the safety car as Antonelli takes them around again. Still holds the fastest lap of the race as well, which will be his third fastest lap should it go his way this season. And not forgetting, we do have +1 lap after this, but I got to give credit to Roman Bielinski as well, recovering after the broken front wing that he sustained earlier on, managing to leapfrog Giovanni Maschio earlier on that we saw on screen, which was stellar. He's now closing up to a former GB3 competitor, Tom Leben, of course at Arden, and both of them race winners in that series as well. Got chatting to Tom Leben as well, who is very much learning how the European series works. It's quite a difference, he said, in comparison to racing in the UK. And it does take some adjustment. Certainly many drivers do tend to take a season, certainly as a rookie in this series, and then will come back fighting again the following season. We've seen that time and time again. Of course, Tim Tramnitz building on an already superb first season last year, since moving then to our race, and now since twice a race winner. But many rookies also prevailing in this championship too. You see them head through this next left. There's Owen Tangavelu, hot on the heels of Tim Tramnitz. Still under yellow flag conditions as the safety car now makes its way down through towards turn 1. Pleased to say as well that we are once joined again by certainly the Federation. Obviously look after the agriculture here in Italy. The Ministry of Agriculture are here this weekend. As we see the crane now moving Maya Verk's car out of the circuit and into a safe spot as the safety car still roams around the track. But yes, we do have the Ministry of Agriculture here this weekend, basically trying to work alongside that of ACI Sport as they look to improve or highlight the work that motorsport does in terms of improving the environment and obviously ensuring the continuity of our natural world, and also have put together a very fine Italian dish when it comes to fish as well. They're absolutely extraordinary, the way they cultivate it and certainly produce it. It is absolutely sensational. Highly recommend anybody to check that out, and certainly great to see them here at the home race this weekend. We have confirmation as well from race control. The safety car is in this lap. Under the beaming sunlight here around the circuit of Mugello, Tuscan track. Will it see an Italian take a race win for the second time since 2019? Of course, this will be the first time we haven't had a driver take a double result, certainly across the weekend. Obviously, Paul Aaron did it last season, taking pole and the race one victory. Of course, we've seen that time and time again. We saw Stenchon do that yesterday, but we haven't seen a driver go consecutively, taking race win after race win since Paul Aaron did it back in 2021, and Stenchon doesn't look like he's going to achieve that this time. So Antonelli, of course, there's still time left. Stenchon still has a chance. 5 minutes and 30 still to go, plus the one lap. You'll need all of it in a hope that he can then challenge the two Premers up at the front end. But the championship fight still continues, and it's going to be a thriller. And with plenty of races still to come on the calendar, you've of course got Le Castellet in just over a week as well at Paul Ricard. We then got a trip to Red Bull Ring between the 9th and the 10th of September. Monza coming up as well later on in September too, with Zandvoort then, the penultimate round on the 14th and 15th of October, with the final round taking place at Hockenheim Ring at the tail end of October. That is, of course, the 21st and the 22nd, as now Antonelli picks up the pace, heading through the Bussine corner once again, and will make his way down towards the start-finish line still, as once again they go ahead and put pedal to the metal for the third time in this race now as well. And just look at the RPM cars getting a lovely launch too. Green flags being waved by everyone here on the side of the circuit, as we're now seeing them once again come together. Matteo Capietto trying to charge here on Kaz Havercourt. Santiago Ramos also going side by side with Martini Stenchon. A battle for the podium places. Rafael Camara also in the mix to this as they go late braking into San Donato, and it is still going to be Stenchon who holds on to third, but a great launch, a great charge there from both RPM cars. And I can tell you this, the Matteo Capietto has in fact launched onwards, and oh, dearie me, Lorenzo Fluscia off into the gravel trap. Another, certainly a Prema car out of the race, and again we lose one. Of course, we didn't really have this many cars go out in race one, but certainly here, missing the likes of Maya Vug and also Kirill Small, Niels Kuhlen, but now to join them it's Lorenzo Fluscia, and the safety car is back out again here. And unfortunately for Lorenzo Fluscia, that's his day done, and no points will be scored here in this round for him. And Andrea Kimi Antonelli will once again have to bring his car down into Delta. Now this is the replay, and we witnessed side-by-side action and a bit of contact as well. Now was that with Josh Dufek? I think it was. Dufek reduced to 25th, so yes, it was him. Certainly did look like it. Of course, those two have been battling now for a little bit of time. We saw it prior to our previous safety car, and an obviously despondent Lorenzo Fluscia, who would have wanted to score yet more points this season. He's been working hard with the Prema team, and they've come in here well stocked as well. Of course, in recent rounds, laying claim to 10 points last weekend, was P2 at Hungaroring in race 2 as well. But no such accolades this weekend for Lorenzo Fluscia as he removes his gloves and walks away. And the marshals once again get to work here. We're within 3 minutes to go, plus the one lap, and Antonelli once again bringing them down to a steady pace, in the hope now that we, of course, get one more lap of racing. Yeah, I think obvious despondency there for Lorenzo Fluscia, who I'm sure will be back next weekend when we go to Le Castellet, of course, at Paul Ricard, and a vastly different track again. Another car going off, and that's Josh Dufek peeling into the pit lane as well. So some damage suspected on perhaps the suspension when they bank wheels. We'll have to wait and see, but Josh Dufek has come into the pits. And it's unfortunate for Van Amersfoort, because already losing Niels Kuhlen, and now with Josh Dufek coming into the pits as well, certainly is not ideal for them. And we've got confirmation that it will be investigated after the race. That, of course, being the incident between that of Lorenzo Fluscia and Josh Dufek. As once again, under safety car conditions, we head down now into the final 2 minutes here at Mugello. The sun beaming down here in Tuscany. There's Dufek hopping out of the car. Now that's not a good sign. Looks like it could be another retirement, and it certainly is. Josh Dufek retiring from the race here at Tuscany. Van Amersfoort losing 2 cars here in this final race of the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine weekend, and the safety car will take them round still as we head into the closing stages of this race. We have got confirmation safety car will be in this lap, and it looks like we could yet get 2 laps of racing here as they now head through this next section, although it might be a challenge. While we do have a minute left, they are still only in sector 2 and do have a sequence of corners to come, including out of turns 10 and 11. So they've got to come through now the out of the Scarperia and the Pelagio corners, but after that the Corrento and also then the Biondetti 1 and 2 before then hitting the Bucine hairpin bend. So they head now out of Pelagio through Corrento. Safety car has already gone clear, so it's all down to Antonelli to bring their pace down to a certain level. He'll then be in control of the restart. And you can imagine now he's going to try and incentivize the possibility of just one single racing lap. A similar sight from last weekend, of course, where he was the pace car. But it's all down to Andrea Kimi Antonelli. One last, you'd imagine, lap of magic as they head around Bucine corner now. And certainly here, currently sat in P1, holding his own. Rafael Camara in behind as well as he now puts the pedal to the floor. Round Bucine at turn 15 once again, and it will be the final time as well. Cars going side by side on the exit, but certainly as they put pedal to the metal now for the 3rd time in this race now. We're currently seeing Stenshorn coming under pressure because in comes Santiago Ramos, RPM, with a little taste for some extra points here. And already we're seeing Kaz Havercourt trying to raise up and certainly try and challenge up at the sharp end as well. Stenshorn going massively defensive against the onslaught from 2 RPM cars that are now looking to challenge. Capietto trying to challenge Santiago Ramos. In comes Kaz Havercourt, who goes round the outside as they head through the first sector. It's Havercourt. Havercourt now moves up into 5th place ahead of Matteo Capietto and is now looking to chase. Capietto not yet done though. Looks to the outside as they head through towards the next step, but Havercourt now holds on to the advantage there as well, managing to secure that 5th place here on the final lap of racing. And certainly Van Amersfoort can celebrate at least something for Havercourt to add to the locker after the devastation of losing 2 cars in this race alone. But Andrea Kimi Antonelli stretching his advantage, holding his own ahead of his teammate Rafael Camara as they now peel through the Arrabbiata 2. There you can see the RPM currently sat in 4th, that being Santiago Ramos, who's charging over Martinia Stenshorn, but still Stenshorn holding on to 3rd place and currently as we stand holds the lead in terms of the rookie classification. They head now through turns 10 and 11 for the final time. And as they do so, then they will then suddenly reach turn 12 as well at the Corrento corner. But Andrea Kimi Antonelli, what a weekend it has been. Certainly busy up at the sharp end. But I tell you what, the battle for the podiums is not yet over. And look at this, Ramos around the outside now as they make their way down through towards the Bucine corner. Last gasp moments here in the race now as Andrea Kimi Antonelli rounds the final corner. He's going to be 1 time, but not just 1 time. It's 2 times a race winner here for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. He wins here at Mugello. Oh, goodness me. A huge crash across the line as Martinia Stenshorn and Santiago Ramos were battling through towards the checkered flag. Yellow flags being raised and the car's being brought to a standstill. Antonelli is the race winner. Camara in 2nd. Stenshorn and Ramos coming together across the line. According to the timing screen, Stenshorn was the man to cross it first, but not something we generally see here, certainly on the closing stages of a race. And but it's Antonelli who takes the victory. Camara in 2nd. It's a Prema 1-2 here this weekend at Tuscany. And the Italian team will certainly salivate at the prospect of yet another 1-2. And there's the 2 drivers. Martinia Stenshorn steps out of the car with Ramos alongside him too. Good to see that both drivers are obviously okay as well. And Stenshorn looks to take his gloves off at this point. There's Joshua Dirksen as well. We didn't see him go off whatsoever, but in the gravel trap, had a little bit of a moment as well. Looks like Roman Belinsky was around the outside as well. Let's do the switchback. Dirksen went mega defensive, but yeah, not an intervention from Belinsky at all. That's Dirksen. Unfortunately, he just dipped his toes in the gravel and pivoted the car. Stenshorn and Ramos then coming together. In fact, Dirksen went off in the background during when all this was taking place. But great to see all the drivers out of the car okay. But I'm sure the teams wouldn't appreciate that, lads, at all at the end of the race. It's a bit of work, certainly, for them to do now. But Stenshorn still enlisted P3 in this classification. Andrea Kimi Antonelli is your race winner, folks, for the second time. And he points as well to the car. They are, of course, racing for Delano this weekend. And he's very prominent in the thoughts of all of us in the racing community. We are one big family here, and certainly is one of our own. And Andrea Kimi Antonelli celebrating with the Prema team this weekend. Again, this brings yet another stellar chapter to the championship scuffle between Antonelli and that of Martinia Stenshorn. This will bring Antonelli closer in terms of the points as well. Of course, Tramnitz would have dropped points here in this exchange. Kamara would have probably gained some. Of course, Kaz Havercourt in behind was also challenging. Here are the race results, folks. Andrea Kimi Antonelli in first with Rafael Kamara in second. Martinia Stenshorn crashing over the line in third place with Santiago Ramos in fourth. Kaz Havercourt in fifth. Matteo Capietto in sixth with Tim Tramnitz in seventh. Owen Tangavelu eighth with Michael Belov ninth. Levente Ravesh in 10th as well. Marcus Amand finishing in 11th and second in the rookie classification. Alessandro Giusti in 12th with Charlie Wirtz in 13th. Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. as well further down in 14th. Roman Belinsky 15th. Nikhil Bora in 16th. Tom Leben 17th. Giovanni Maschio 18th as well. We did, of course, see Enzo Schionti cross into 19th. Konsta Lapalainen in 20th. Lucas Medina in 21st. We, of course, then lost Joshua Dirksen, Lawrence Van Hoopen, Matthias Agazetta, Josh Dufek, Lorenzo Fluscher, Maya Verg, as well as Kirill Small and Niels Kulin. Here are the highlights from the race. And, getting away, certainly very strongly, was Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Second then, Kamara tried to get himself alongside his teammates. They challenged down through towards turn one. Stenshorn was in behind too, trying to look for every which way. The two RPMs had a blistering start as well. Of course, both of that being Santiago Ramos and Matteo Capietto, who jumped ahead of Kaz Havercourt. This was the first incident, of course, involving that of the cars belonging to that of Niels Kulin and Kirill Small. As we now see the green flags wave again, it was still Antonelli who led from the front here at Mugello. Of course, a home race that he will savour here at this point, with Kamara chasing his tail as well in behind. Then, of course, we had the contact with Lorenzo Fluscher, who unfortunately came unstuck after colliding with Josh Dufek as they headed up the hill. And they came together. Unfortunately, losing places, Lorenzo Fluscher, well, not losing place, but losing time in that process. Belinsky, after getting his front wing changed on the car, but then overtaking great style against Giovanni Maschio. Maya Viug would have not necessarily a storybook finish and ended up in the gravel trap, but nevertheless we got back underway with green flags. We had some side-by-side action as well further up as we saw Lorenzo Fluscher and Josh Dufek come together for a second time in this race. Unfortunately, it ended up in the gravel trap for Fluscher, who wasn't able to finish the race. Andrea Kimi Antonelli would get us going yet again. This time it would be Joshua Dirksen who would take a trip into the gravel trap. After coming certainly ahead there of Roman Belinsky, was unable to hold his position out on track, ended up in the gravel, and unfortunately it'd be the end of his day. It would be Andrea Kimi Antonelli who would take the win, and Rafael Kamara in second, but a collision heading across the line where Martinia Stenshorn would still hold on to third place, led with Santiago Ramos in fourth. The two cars wrecking on the outset of the checkered flag. But it would be Antonelli who would take the race win and would point as well to the Racing for Delano and now to the podium celebrations here this weekend. And it would be Andrea Kimi Antonelli who will take the victory. Rafael Kamara steps up into second place. And a big cheer from an Italian audience as their man takes the top step here in Mugello. Third place as well will go to Of course, Stenshaw not taking to the stand in P3. Of course, all results provisional, folks. Stenshaw is confirmed P3 on the podium, but is having it accepted on his behalf by a representative from the team. Obviously, the stewards, I'd imagine, will investigate that. But Rafael Camara accepts the second place trophy, with Andrea Kimi Antonelli prepared to accept his first place trophy. A big loud cheer from the crowd here at Tuscany as Andrea Kimi Antonelli lifts the trophy aloft. And the Prema team accepting the team's trophy. A fabulous one too for them this weekend. Martinius Stenshaw will also accept the rookie race win after crossing the line first for the rookies. And now we'll have the Italian national anthem. Well, there we have it. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, winner of race 2 here this weekend. The championship fight will continue at Le Castellet, so make sure you join us, folks, for that. In the meantime, take care and goodbye.